President Cyril Ramaphosa's surprise reinstatement of South Africa's booze ban has been met with anger and dismay by the industry. The ban was reinstated with no advanced warning given to the industry. Leading local e-commerce website onedayonly.co.za says that while they understand the intentions behind the move, they are anxious about the knock-on effects for the industry as a whole. How will the reinstatement of the ban further compound the impact on suppliers and sellers as they reel from months of loss of income? Well, joining us to discuss this further is Matthew Leeton, a spokesperson for One Day Only, an e-commerce website. Well, a very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
So what was your initial reaction as you sat at home watching the president deliver that address when he mentioned that the ban on alcohol will come into effect immediately?
Great question. I think it's just another up or down, depending on how you want to look at it, on the roller coaster that has been lockdown and the COVID-19 pandemic and everything else that's kind of come around from it. Obviously, the devastation was the fact that it was such a last-minute .com announcement. The fact that the alcohol ban went into effect immediately made it incredibly difficult. It meant that we had to start our Monday morning as an e-commerce company trying to contact couriers to recall alcohol that was out for delivery on a Monday morning so that we could get that back to our warehouses and safeguard that alcohol. Similarly, we needed to contact all of our suppliers that were affecting delivery during the course of the day on Monday and ask them to please hold back so that we could try our best to sort of deal with the instant knock-on effects of the alcohol ban.
And you're mentioning deliveries that were due for that Monday, the 13th of July. So was it possible then for perhaps trucks that were already loaded with alcohol to return the alcohol back to warehouses? Was provision made for that?
Yes, and also no. So there is provision for that in that you can recall the alcohol, but nothing is set up for instant return. You know, the downside of being a last-minute announcement as opposed to an announcement on, say, a Thursday evening or a Friday morning, as Tuli Madonsela correctly pointed out, it could have happened that this announcement was made on Friday. It would have given industries Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to accommodate the announcement and to be better positioned on a Monday, whereas with the announcement coming in last second like it did, it makes it tremendously difficult for big businesses to quickly and agilely switch from on to off. You know, it's because of the nature of something so big like this, there's just no provision made for an instant pause on delivery of alcohol. Things take a little bit of time before they can come into effect, and that's what made it so difficult this time around.
So do you think that perhaps there should have been more consultation, and if not consultation, then perhaps a bit more of lead time then?
Absolutely. You know, like you said, and I'd like to reiterate as well, we completely understand the sentiment behind it. And we, you know, if the reality is that hospital beds and hospital capacity is being directly affected by alcohol sales, that must be addressed. But a last-minute announcement on a Sunday evening does make it incredibly difficult. I know that there's more to the story than meets the public eye, but it would have been night and day had this announcement come around in a different manner at an earlier stage, as you say, to prepare and to provide plenty more lead time than was currently given.
You know, during the first period when there was an alcohol ban, we saw SA breweries having to pour out millions of rands worth of alcohol because they weren't able to transport it back to their warehouses for safekeeping. Will we see a similar situation happening now, and what really is the way forward?
That's a great question, and I wish I could give you the answer to it. It's very difficult. You know, I think as a global, for the first time in our history, we're trying to make decisions based on very limited insight and information, and everybody's doing the best that they can, given that that is sort of the norm. I hope that this time around things can be easier. This is not the first time that there's been an alcohol ban in South Africa. It's not even the first time in 3 months. There should be a lot of takeaways from the previous alcohol bans that should help the industry to mitigate losses as a result. But on the other hand, massive businesses are not made to turn on and off. You know, there always will be some shortfall when things are made to you can and then you can't, you are allowed and then you're not allowed. Our hope is that more information comes to light, a detailed timeline as best as possible is put in place. You know, just everything that gives the industry and alcohol providers as much room as possible to work with to ensure that the losses are mitigated.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Matthew Leeton, spokesperson for onedayonly.co.za.